Hello and welcome once again to Mind Mastery Accelerator, your destination for becoming a fearless entrepreneur. I am your host, attorney Sean Arnold, and I am here as I am every week with your other host, Master Executive Performance Coach, Vernon Webb. How you doing tonight, Vernon?
Doing very well, Sean. How about you?
I am doing beautifully tonight, and I am so excited about our conversation tonight, Vernon. Tonight, we enter deep territory. We are going, listeners, where your neurology meets your identity and where your belief system meets your biology. Now, we want you to stay to the end of tonight's video because we're going to share with you two exercises that are going to help you reprogram your mind to hardwire bringing more money into your life. One of the techniques we're going to share with you is going to be the Silva method of dynamic meditation. And the other technique that we will share with you will be NLP oriented. So let's just dive in. You've been following us for a while now, and we have discussed a number of topics that are the underpinnings of these deep discussions that we're going to begin to have going forward. You have learned about the power of your subconscious mind. You have discovered how you can blow past your comfort zone and how you can eliminate limiting beliefs. We have discussed how secondary gains can actually keep the problem stuck in your neurology. And then we discuss certain techniques to free your neurology, like anchoring and understanding that all of these decisions that you're making and the way that you do things are all strategies. We then use these techniques to help you enhance your focus and your confidence and to understand your own value system. And so this lays the groundwork for this deep work that we're going to begin to do as we move forward. This is your transformation at hand. You have discovered by following these shows with us an invisible wall that most people don't even know that they've built. So you are ahead of the game. So tonight, we are going to delve deeply into your identity, but we're going to talk about it in the context of money. So by now, you can tell that everything we've discussed so far, beliefs, focus, values, strategies, all of it is ultimately filtered through your identity. And if your identity doesn't support your outcome, your desired outcome, you are going to sabotage that desired outcome. And all of your work that you've done with affirmations and meditation and imagination, all the submodality work, none of this work is going to be effective if you self sabotage. So, for example, if you have a thought, I want to make $1 million, and then that thought is followed quickly by a mindset, only evil people get rich, you're going to sabotage yourself and you're never going to get rich. And that's just a fact. What we want you to understand is that your identity is not fixed, it's a strategy. You can create a new self image using the Silva method of dynamic meditation and NLP neurostrategic techniques. So let's start with talking about Mark, money, and meditation. Mark is a friend of mine. He's a really smart guy. He's a hardworking engineer. In his mid 40s, Mark is an entrepreneur. He has the credentials, he has the business acumen, he has the vision. However, when Mark thinks about money, Mark has challenges. He gets this horrible feeling inside. He always feels as though money is just out of reach for him. He could close smaller deals in his business. Like he's able to be in business. But what about those really big deals that he fantasizes about? Those always seem to slip away from Mark. Every time he thinks about growing his business, about raising his prices or asking for the sale, pressure starts to creep into his body. Mark will get a tightness in his chest. Mark will get a weight in his stomach. He starts to feel a little bit queasy. He gets the feeling and the thought that occurs to him, money is just hard for people like me. And so when Mark has those kinds of challenges, we call on someone like Vernon Webb to help Mark reframe his relationship with money and rewire his chances for success. So, Vernon, what would the Silva method of dynamic meditation have for Mark to help him rewire his brain?
Well, first, Sean, Mark learned to establish a line of communication with his subconscious mind because he realizes that the subconscious mind is responsible for what you do. It drives the bus. And so what we did is we taught him how to create that line of communication between the conscious and the subconscious mind. Now, the way that you communicate with the subconscious mind is through mental pictures, a relaxed level of mind and mental pictures. And in Silva, we have created what's known as the mental screen. Now, let me show you exactly how to use the mental screen because if you're using it wrong, it's not going to be effective. The mental screen is where you project your mental pictures. And some people think, well, good, I'll just close my eyes and I'll look on my eyelids. No, 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 no. That's not it. Your mental screen is an area out from your body, approximately 6 feet, and about 30 degrees above the horizontal plane of sight. That is the area of your mental screen. So once you have your mental screen, you want to practice using it because the better you can create mental pictures, the better you'll be able to establish that line of communication with the subconscious mind. Let's start with solving Mark's situation. On your mental screen, you want to create the problem area and spend some time looking at it. How do you perceive the problem? The problem is the existing situation. What can you do to change it? Well, in that mental screen, you'll see him not making the kind of money he wants to make, and it's up to you how you want to do it. You'll see him unhappy and not looking at his bank statement on his phone. It's like, he's got to figure where he's going to juggle in order to make sure that he's got money for groceries, cover his expenses, those kinds of things. But he is not happy. He is not a happy camper. So what he wants to do, what he did is he looked at that, he examined it, and then when he finished, he blew it up. He erased it. He smashed it because the message that he was giving his subconscious mind is that what he perceived as the problem is no longer the problem. And that's important. Now, let's bring in what he perceives as the solution. In the solution, we're going to frame that in white on the mental screen. And in the solution, he's happy, he's seeing the money coming in, and what he has focused on is his self-talk. Self-talk is what you say to you about you that nobody even hears. Your thoughts, such as, I'm not worthy. I don't believe I can do this. Rich people are selfish. Mother Teresa passed away with 25 mil in the bank. Does that sound?
Can you repeat that, please?
Absolutely. Mother Teresa, when she passed away, they looked at her assets. She had $5 million in the bank. Nobody
That's correct.
would look at Mother Teresa and say, she's rich, so she must be selfish. And we all know Mother Teresa gave like it was nobody's business. So scratch that, rich people are selfish. Next, I'm not worthy of having more money than I'm making now. Work on your self-image. How do you see you? What is your self-talk like? And anytime you find yourself saying anything negative or demeaning or limiting about your ability to have money, it's cancel, cancel, and I do mean cancel, cancel. Better if you say it out loud, but that's okay. I don't want you to feel embarrassed when you're around people, but mentally think cancel, cancel, because the message you want to send your particular subconscious mind is that's not who I am. And when you cancel something, what you must immediately do is have something in place for it. So you're saying, well, I'm not worthy. Cancel, cancel. I am worthy. And you see, people with money walk differently. They talk differently. You've seen them. You know what they look like. You know people that have more money than you, and money for them just seems to be easy. Adopt that model. Modeling. It's a very important NLP concept, modeling. So that's what you want to do. And in the anytime you think about that, you see yourself in that white framed mirror. Now, what does it feel like to have money? When you have enough money to cover all your expenses and you got more money left over, man, that feels good. You don't have to be concerned. You can tell your family, let's take a trip someplace. Let's take a trip to New York, Hawaii, Asia, wherever you want to go, because
Hey,
really, money's not a problem. If that's where you want to go, sweetheart, that's where we'll go. It feels good to be able to tell your family, this is what we're going to do. So in that white framed mirror on your mental screen, you know what it feels like to have money. You're interacting with people, your energy is just incredible because you know it's going to happen. You've got money. There is no question. We close the session with Mark with a command. Every time you touch your fingers together, the image strengthens. Every time you breathe deeply, abundance returns. This is your new truth. And whenever you think about money, that's what you want to be sure that you are creating in your mind. You're feeling it. So now what do we do? Well, let's find out some step-by-step instructions from an NLP perspective, starting with the identifying of the limiting belief. Sean?
absolutely. The first thing we want to understand is that money is never about money. It's always about the internal representation that comes up for you when you think about money. When you think about money, the pictures that come up for you, the sounds, the feelings, and the beliefs that you hold actually attach to the notion of money. That is what determines whether money empowers you or paralyzes you. So, how then does NLP frame money? Very simply, it frames money according to how your neurology reacts to money. There are various ways that we can look at how your neurology reacts to money. We can look at the submodalities. Think of the picture that you get when you think about money. What does that picture look like? When people fear or resent money or wealthy people, that picture of money is going to look dark. It's going to look heavy. It's going to look distant. These people, when they close their eyes and they think about money, that money is going to be 50 miles away at the top of a mountain in somebody else's hand. They're going to see a picture of themselves at the base of that mountain, climbing the mountain with bloody fingers. They will create an image that will not support them bringing more money in their lives. But when people are attracted to money, when people attract money to themselves, they will see that picture of money as close. They will see it as brightly colored. They will see it, the lighting as bright. It will be energizing, and it might even be playful. So think about your submodalities and analyze your submodalities. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that in a minute. NLP will also look at your meta programs. What are those? Those are the way you associate money. If you associate money with pain, or corruption or stress or loss, then you're going to subconsciously lean away from money. You're not going to want it in your life. So think about those meta programs. Think about those associations. I recall when I was a little kid, my sister and I would go, it didn't matter whether we were with our mother or our father. When we went to the store, the directive was very simple. Don't ask me for nothing. We knew it. We would look around at the other kids going, Mom, I want a chocolate. Mommy, I want a candy. I want a toy. And I just want to, because we knew, don't ask me for nothing. I have to tell you, that created an amazing dynamic in my life with money because my father went to Harvard Law School. And we were very solidly middle class. We grew up in two-story houses. Even when we lived in New York City, we had a two-story apartment. Whenever bicycles needed to appear, they appeared. We had skates, we had toys, we had all of the amenities of life. But my sister and I never had cash. We never had money because we were two little girls and our parents were desiring to raise us close to the best. And they thought if we keep them without any money, without any resources, then we know where they are. We know what they're doing. We know how far they can go. Now, what that did was create a dynamic in me where, as an adult, I always had a beautiful place to live. I always had a nice car to drive, and I had nothing but dust and lint in my pockets. I made sure I was living paycheck to paycheck. So even if I was making well over $100,000 a year, I felt broke. And it was because of the dynamic of money that was created for me when I was a little kid. The associations with money are pain and stress. They were. I had to actually work very hard once I discovered those dynamics to change them so that I was able to live debt free and I was still able to have a beautiful place to live and a nice car to drive. But I had to rethink my relationship with cash. Another, we've talked about anchoring and how you can actually anchor powerful emotions in your body so that if your meta programs have you associating money with pain, associating money with corruption or stress or loss, you can make those changes by creating anchors of powerful, positive images of you and money, and you can actually change those meta programs in that way. You will collapse those old limiting beliefs like money is hard to get or I don't deserve to be wealthy, and you will install in their place new empowering beliefs. So let me take you through some step by step dynamics or instructions to actually work your way through this process. Now, the very first thing that you will do from an NLP perspective is to identify your limiting belief. You're going to ask yourself some very powerful questions. In the alpha state, using the Silva method of dynamic meditation, bring yourself to that relaxed level of mind and then ask yourself a very powerful question. What is a belief that I hold about money that keeps me stuck or keeps me sabotaging myself with respect to money? And if you just meditate on that question, you will start to have samples of those limiting beliefs come up, like the love of money is the root of all evil, or if I make too much money, I'll lose it, or people won't like me if I'm rich. So when you start seeing those limiting beliefs, I want you to write those down. And then I want you to sit with those limiting beliefs. I want you to feel it in your system. What images are coming up for you? What sounds, what feelings, what sensations arise when you say those limiting beliefs? Look at the submodalities associated with that picture that you've just brought up in your mind. Is the picture near or far? Is it color or is it black and white? Is it bright? Is it dim? Is it a still shot or is it a movie? Are you inside the picture or is it in a frame? Is it inside your body or is it outside of yourself? You can actually take those submodalities and do one of two things. One, you can change those submodalities of that limiting belief, of that unsupportive picture, into a supportive picture just by changing the submodalities. If it's black and white, change it to color. If there's no vibration or feeling, create one. Maybe put some music in there that you like. If it's dim, brighten it. And the other thing, once you change those submodalities, you can then bring that picture. If you, for example, close your eyes and you think of money and you think, oh my goodness, it's 50 miles away on the top of a mountain in somebody else's hands. I'm at the bottom of that mountain climbing it with bleeding fingers. If that is your submodality, then you can change it and create a new supportive picture. Or you can create, using that blue frame mirror, white frame mirror type of technique, create a brand new picture that is a supportive picture of money, one that is brightly colored, one that has the vibrations that you want, one that has the sounds that you want, and all of the feelings that you want, something that's expansive and exciting to your neurology. You can then create that new empowering belief, and then you can do a swish pattern to actually substitute the new belief with the old belief. Now, what is a swish pattern? A swish pattern is done where you create that old unsupportive belief in a large frame. And then in a small frame, you create that supportive picture. So now you've got two pictures, one that's unsupportive and it's large, and one that's supportive and it's small. And then you're going to switch positions of those two pictures. Swish. And now the large picture is the supportive picture, and the small picture is the unsupportive picture. Then you're going to do it again. Put that large picture as the unsupportive picture, and the small picture as the supportive picture. Then swish, and then do it again. Large is unsupportive, small is supportive, and then swish, and you just swish, and you swish, and you swish over and over again until your eyes start to roll in your head and you start to actually disconnect from that large unsupportive picture. And it literally gets substituted with that other more supportive picture. You know, you can actually use swish patterns to change something that you like, that you wish that you didn't like, into something that you don't like. That's how powerful swish pattern is. For example, if you drink a lot of beer and you don't want to drink beer anymore, I could sit with you and I can change that representation of a glass of beer into a glass of horse pee. You will not want to drink it. Trust me. That's how powerful the swish pattern is. And so once you find that your eyes have rolled, you feel like you're disconnecting from those old beliefs, you can actually test it by asking yourself about those old beliefs, about the love of money being the root of all evil, about only rich people get evil people get rich, and all of those negative beliefs that you created. Ask yourself about them. Ask yourself if they still resonate with you. And if you find that you have disconnected from those thoughts, then you might find yourself in a position that Mark found himself in. 30 days after doing these techniques, Mark was able to actually raise his prices. 60 days after doing these techniques, Mark landed a huge retainer. 90 days after doing these techniques, Mark said to himself, gee, whenever I thought about money, it was like hitting a brick wall. And now, when I think about money, it's like thinking about a dance partner. And so, the moral of the story is that money is never about money, and money is not hard. It's the submodalities, it's the mental representation that you create in your mind when you think about money that makes it heavy, that makes it difficult. So if you shift your internal map, how you think about money, then the terrain of your reality will also change. Richard Bandler will say, you're hallucinating anyway. So why not hallucinate something useful? And Jose Silva will remind us, at the alpha level, the mind creates. And what the mind creates, reality obeys. Vernon, I think we need to task our people to help them reprogram their minds to bring more money into their lives. What should they do over the next week until they see us again?
Well, I will tell you, Sean, first of all, they need to decide that they're worthy. This is something, your self-image, you cannot outperform your self-image. It's what you believe to be true about you. So if it's somewhere down here and it needs to be somewhere up here, change it. And you have the ability to do that. Rich people are not selfish. That's just, I know in this environment, we hear what wealthy, ultra wealthy people are doing, and people are like frowning at them. But you know what? Rich people are not selfish. So that's a change you're going to want to make. If you want to make an impact in the world, you're going to need money. Poverty
Well,
is not going to do it. Your best
ask you
intention,
to repeat that one again, please.
you're going to make an impact in the world, you're going to need money.
Well,
Simple as that. What self-talk do you engage in? If it's negative, change the thought, cancel, and replace the negative thought, whether it's about money or whether it's about you, and that's what you're going to go forward with. The new way you think of yourself because you're worthy versus the old way. Well, I've never had it and I can't get it. No, 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 no. Change that. You are worthy. Replace the negative thought with a positive thought. See a picture of money flowing to you in a tidal wave. Your subconscious mind, when you think about it, it doesn't know the difference between imagination and reality. Let me say that again. Your subconscious mind does not know the difference between imagination and reality. Just doesn't know. It only knows what you tell it. So tell it something that's going to be beneficial to you. You're supporting your family
This
and friends, business and community because you got money. And you're meditating 3 times a day. Best time in the morning. As soon as your feet hit the floor, you start with something positive. Even before that, when you open your eyes, you're seeing yourself with what it is that you want to have. Positive. That's the best time in the morning. Second best time, as strange as it may seem, is in the evening. Because again, and when you go to bed, you're winding down, you're relaxing. That's when your subconscious mind is most accessible. That's why it's the second best time. And you make sure that you do your positive statements then. And then the third is sometime in the course of the day. But would you like a secret? The picture that you see without money, one time and one time only. Every time you think about money after that, it's what you see as the end result. Because, see, you're all smart enough not to wash your clothes in dirty water and expect them to be clean. And when you go back and you see that negative situation, no money, and your subconscious mind says, well, okay, it's going to give you what you ask for. And the only way it knows what you ask for is what you mentally create in your mind. So that is a secret most people don't realize. They start from the negativity and then they go to the positive. That's not necessary, and you don't want to do it. Trust me on this one.
Ladies and gentlemen, as a business attorney, money excites me. So I have thoroughly enjoyed this conversation this evening. We want to thank you for joining us on this week's episode of Mind Mastery Accelerator. We encourage you to drop us a comment below and let us know, what's your relationship to money? Does it need to change? And if so, how are you going to change it? Give us a like because we deserve it.
Absolutely.
We are worthy of your like, and share this video with someone that you know has a lousy relationship with money. And then come back and see us again next week on Mind Mastery Accelerator.
Bye.
Bye bye.